everyone, it's Sami from Sami's Sweet Life, and I have stacks upon stacks of planner goodness, so you guys know this is going to be a very chatty planner video, and we are talking Makselife DIY slash alternatives and thought processes moving forward. So I don't exactly know what the title of this video is going to be, but this all has sparked from my wonderful FRANKENPLANNER. So I ended up putting this together. It is a combination of Erin Condren hourly and Makselife weekly pages and all the planning and monthly and weekly goodness from Makselife. So the deal with the Makselife planners, if you want a dated planner, as of yet, you get the weekly action pages, which are all dated, and then you get a weekly spread in between. But I haven't really been using these, and this is my third year in a Makselife, and this is the third year I'm still struggling to use those pages. So I feel like for me personally, it's kind of a waste. I could get the undated ones and then not have these in-between pages, but I do really just love the dates on the weekly action page. I also like the monthly calendar pages. Let's find the monthly calendar pages. I like having, you know, a dated monthly calendar, even though I haven't really been taking advantage of it. I like the monthly goals pages. So I can do alternatives. I can do the ones that don't have the dates on them, but I found when I did FRANKENPLANN those last year, before they moved to the spiral coils, I was getting a little confused with myself and not having the dates right and not realizing which week I was on. So it was a little bit of a struggle bus for me. And now I would love to use this page, but I just don't love either one of their basic layouts. I don't tend to use all the habit tracking. It's very basic, it's very minimal, it's beautiful. For some reason, I just prefer other ones. You know, it's just not my cup of tea. And I've tried the vertical, I've tried the horizontal, and I just don't love it as much as I love the Erin Condren paper. I just plain old don't love it as much. I love the Erin Condren toothy paper. I love that it's really nice and thick, and it's one of my favorite papers, which alternatively, my other favorite paper is Tomoe River paper, which is a totally different vibe. It's super thin and crinkly, but it works really good with fountain inks. But I just haven't loved having the two different types of paper in the same FRANKENPLANNER, although I love having my goal setting stuff and my weekly stuff together. The coloring is different. You can see like the color's different. I had to cut these pages down because Makselife has one extra ring on their spiral. So I had to cut all of the pages down. They're not exactly the same size paper. You can see like we've got an overhang here. It's just not a great option. As much as I love it and wanted to make it work, it's just not perfect. You know, there's a lot of things about it. So we've got two tones of paper going on in the planner. The planner pages are a little bit different sizes, so it's not really nice and cohesive. Like you can see on the side here, all the different paper sizing, because I'm sticking two planners together. They're from two totally different companies with totally different paper, and it's just not been my absolute favorite. So I want to find an alternative. And so I've got lots of ideas. I've got lots of brainstorming that we're going to walk through in this video, because that's basically all this is. It's just walking through what I want to do moving forward. I probably will end up buying a Makselife planner. I don't know if I will use those weekly pages because, you know, 3 years running, I've struggle bust with these weekly pages. I just haven't made them work for me, and I do love the weekly action pages. I don't want to get rid of this at all whatsoever. I love the color combo of the rainbow. I love the reflections and the weekly actions every week. It's just been such a big part of my routine that I cannot foresee ever cutting that out at this point. It's just one of my things I really just love having. And so I may end up just having my Makselife completely all on its own, stop trying to FRANKENPLANN, stop trying to make fetch happen and FRANKENPLANNing the planners, and just knowing I'm not going to use those weekly pages in between. I just feel like it's such a waste to not use the in-between pages. But, you know, I'm using the weekly action pages. It's okay if I don't use the other ones. But moving forward, I don't want to FRANKENPLANN the two together. I just haven't loved it. It's just aesthetically a little bit off for me, and I'm a very particular girl about things. And so that's just been my struggle bus this year, is having, you know, the awkward paper, the two different colors, using two different kinds of paper. I just haven't loved the Makselife paper in general. So my first thought is I want to make an Erin Condren planner work so I can FRANKENPLANN two Erin Condren planners together so that the paper is the same, and I know like it's going to fit together because the spirals are the same, although the one on top here I'm showing is an A5. I have actual 7x9 options as well, so that's one stack. I can also make do with the Makselife things I already have and just repurpose what I already have. I also have tons of Tomoe River paper options that might work in this circumstance. And then I have another stack over here that's just plain old notebooks, and I can make a notebook work if I need to. So that's moving forward. My whole thought process is I probably don't want a whole other dedicated 7x9 Makselife planner. I've done that for 3 years now and I just haven't loved it. It's not worked the best for me over time. So I want to possibly do something different. And if not for next year, the year after, because next year I could totally repurpose what I already have and get away with it. And this is all with the understanding that I don't get a review crew box. Like if I get the review crew box, you know, I'm going to share that with you guys. I'm going to use it and make it work somehow, some way. But like if I have to spend my own money out of my own pocket, I think I'm going to repurpose in a different way and try to use what I have or use some other alternative in this stack madness over here. So my first thought was, you know, just plain old use what you got and use it up, because I've got lots of options. I've got the companion notebooks. They're a little bit small for me as far as like these have grids that are much smaller so I can write much smaller. These lines are just not very wide, not very big. Because it's a perforated edge, you miss this much of the A5 size on your layout and stuff. So I don't love how much you miss and then how skinny the columns are, and it doesn't give you a whole lot of room for weekly actions. I find I will probably need more space than this. So I haven't loved the idea of this companion notebook, although again, like it's just your weekly action and your reflection page. So it totally should be able to work for me. I'm using the word should. It totally could work for me. It has the monthly pages. So this is definitely a viable option because these are undated. I could probably make this work, slip it in with my 7x9 Erin Condren hourly and make it work. Alternatively, I have older books that I could totally make work. And again, if I'm not using the horizontal page, these I think are both horizontal planners, I could still just use these, redate these pages, and then just not worry about these because they're just sitting on my shelf collecting dust anyway. I could make them work. You know, part of me not loving the Makselife, I just don't love the paper. I also don't love the tabs. I just don't love the blue navy-ish gray color that it offers. That's one reason I FRANKENPLAN, so I can get the colorful tabs that I want and have all the weekly pages I want. So yeah, I just don't love these alternative options. But I also have verticals I could use as well. So I've got lots of Makselife I could totally make work if I needed to. And now my first thought process, you know, going into it is repurpose an Erin Condren planner. So I would totally get rid of the dates. This is a compact vertical. I would totally like white out the dates or put a sticker over the date or totally ignore it and just highlight in the Makselife colors. I've got my Makselife goodies actually in this little pin case right now. So I've got all my Makselife highlighters. I can highlight each one, and there are 8 boxes here. So I'd have to do a little bit of finagling to make this work, but we've got 8 boxes. And then this little calendar, I can cover up with a sticker and use that for my 8th category. I just add a color bar to each one of these and color code it. And then I would have my weekly actions on this page. But if I do something like that, I don't have a weekly reflection page in here. So I would have to have some alternative for that because I get one lined page at the beginning and end of the month. I'd only have 2 weekly reflection pages. So that would be potentially a downfall for this, but I could also add in lined pages. If I'm FRANKENPLANNING, I could totally add in some lined pages to use for that reflection page. Basically, any of these planners that I'm using as a potential option, they all have 8 boxes. So because the weeks are usually 7 days, a lot of planners don't have an 8th box that could work, but some of them do. So the compact vertical has that option. Again, same thing with this. I could totally ignore the days, add a colorful bar, and have 8 boxes. And because these boxes are separate, I could just sticker that, and then this would be my goal setting sections, the 4 on each side. There'd be 4 goal setting sections on each side, so 8 all combined. And again, I need more notes pages because I don't have those in this book. But how pretty is this planner? I'm just a sucker for the Erin Condren paper and the aesthetic. Like, it's so pretty with the little bars, so it could totally work as a goal setting option for me. Like even just putting a color sticker over each of these to color code each section, that would be a completely viable option. Again, I could FRANKENPLAN it with my Erin Condren hourly and it would work really nicely. Here is the compact vertical in the correct size. The other one was A5, but they came out with a 7x9, so I could totally do the same thing I was talking about and make this into 8 boxes. And then last but not least, the daily duos now have a 2-page spread per week starting in July. So I was testing this out in my current daily duo that doesn't have those extra pages, which I'll show you a current one, but I just tested out making my own bars. And of course, I'm just kind of slapping this together so my lines aren't even. I would try to be a little more careful with making the lines even, but that gives me a lot of room. And then I could have my weekly actions on the back side. Let's get that daily duo out and I'll show you. This is one that I'm leaning most towards because I plan on using this daily duo page. I can totally Frankenplan this with an Erin Condren hourly. So the way the daily duo works now is you get a weekly page. So we'll start at the end of a week. So this is the Sunday. You get a lined page on both sides and then a weekly overview between all your daily pages. So hello, weekly reflections, weekly actions. That would work totally perfect every week. It's already built into the daily duo. It would just be me writing in or highlighting in the setup. So that would work totally awesome. That's what I'm leaning most towards because it's already built into the daily planner I plan on using. Right now I'm using this daily planner and it only has the one lined page per week. So it wouldn't work nearly as good if I started this like right away, but starting in July, I totally could make this one work without having to do any finagling whatsoever except putting in my highlighter streaks. So that's a completely really awesome viable option. Now I also have some Tomoe River paper planners, so I've also thought about making the size factor smaller because part of my issue is having 2 giant honking brick 7x9 planners, and even pulling this daily duo back out between my FRANKENPLANNER and having this daily duo out, it's a lot. They're giant, they're chunky, they're bricks. I love having one giant brick. I do not love having 2 or more giant brick planners in my stack. So I would probably FRANKENPLAN my daily duo in with my Erin Condren hourly spread. So then I'd have all my things all in one big giant brick. So moving forward, an option would be having a smaller companion size planner to go along with it. And Sterling Ink has quite a few options. There are different sizes. So there's a passport size that also has the horizontal. And that's basically all the ones I looked at were horizontal options. So these ones only give you 7 spots. So I would have to combine 2 categories potentially, or like squeeze 2 into the bottom, and it wouldn't be exactly even or cohesive, but they're totally something I could make work because I don't tend to always use all 8 categories. In some weeks I could combine a different way. Like this week I'm not going to have my work category. This week I'm not going to have a financial category, something like that. I could totally do away with 1 category a week and make this work. It would be a little bit trickier as far as like mental brain power to make that work, but it totally could. It also has the page for the weekly reflection page as well. So it totally is a viable option to use a Sterling Ink in that manner potentially. And they've got the week size and they also have the TN size. They also have a passport size that does have 8 grids on it that's much smaller. So that would be a much, much smaller option. Let me see if I can find that one actually. It fell off the shelf when I was pulling out the other Sterling Inks, but this is super teeny tiny. So this one would be a much different factor. Again, it has the dates and the numbers, but I could totally make this work. Like just adding a little column of ink, and then that could be my goal setting. Like how cute would that be next to my big 7x9? Like having this teeny tiny goal setting planner would be awesome. And because of the way Sterling Inks are done, they're that really thin, crinkly paper. There's tons of room in the back for reflections. So there's over 100 pages in the back. So I could totally even just use a 2-page spread for my reflections and then have a 2-page weekly actions page. So this one is a really fun one that I think would be a great option. Alternatively, I've got an Aura Estelle that has a grid pattern, and this one has a daily page, so I'm not leaning towards this one very much. I do love the dated daily page, but what I like about this is this automatic 8 grid space. Of course, it has the titles. Again, like I'm gonna have to repurpose things, but I could totally add the highlighter streak and use 8 boxes, and that would be great. It has a page for every day, so I wouldn't end up using all of these pages in between. I don't use them for notes and things along with this, but I could totally use 1 or 2 of these for reflections during my planning session and have this all lined out, which would be super cute. So I do love the grid form of this Aura Estelle. And now Aura Estelle has an undated version, and it's very similar to the Take a Note, which the Take a Note is dated. And I also don't love the sizing of the grids on here. This one doesn't quite have 8 spaces. It has 3 big columns and then 4 big columns. But I was thinking I would potentially just repurpose 1/2 of the week and like ignore the titles and just cut the page in half. So there'd be 4 boxes on top, 4 boxes on the bottom. And then I could do reflections on the alternative page. And again, I would just be ignoring all the stuff on the tops. And I could do any weekly reflecting on here. Their grid sizing is super teeny tiny, so this is not my favorite planner. I love the aesthetics of it. I love the colors. I love the cover and the unbound spine. I've talked about taking out a bunch on videos, but I could totally make this layout work for what I was thinking. It's like just needing that 8 squares a week and lined pages aside from that. This one could totally work. It's a viable option. So Stella is an undated, and theirs has the 4 columns, and this one's a little harder to see. They have darkened their lines for future things. I think this one I got in 2023, so it's a little bit older of a version, but the lines are darker now, but it's got a header spot, and because it's undated, it doesn't have days of the week, it doesn't have any information up at the top, so each one of these can be a category up at the top, and there's 2 pages per week in here. So you have plenty of planning room. Or again, the same thing I could do with the take a note. I could divide this in half and have 4 sections up at the top, 4 sections at the bottom, and then that is my whole weekly actions. And then I could do the reflections on the following page, which is the same layout. It's just those 4 big columns. That one would be a great option too. I could demonstrate all these as examples. I may end up doing that for this one specifically because I think it's a great option. Like just doing the 8 columns. Let's see what I've got here. I need a ruler. We're gonna do it, guys. This is just, I've got so many ideas bubbling. I'll get my highlighters out. Open it like this. It's supposed to be able to stand up, but it's a little bit floppy. So let's see, we need all our colors out. Okay. I don't exactly know where the halfway mark is, but we're just gonna wing it. I don't know if I should go down, down, or across. I think I'm gonna go across color-wise. And it looks more rainbowy that way. Like seriously, how cute would that be? Like that is such a viable, wonderful option. I can use my fountain inks on this paper really, really easily. Although fountain inks seem to work really well in the Erin Condren and the Makselife paper. This is the paper that's like made for it, and it could get all crinkly and fluffy over time. I just love this. So I could totally do the same kind of layout with the take a note, although this one's way more clean and sleek, and it's a totally viable option. Like having this little cute notebook in my little folio set with other various journals and things would totally work. I think it's such a fun option. I do have a lot of A5 size stuff, so this one could totally be a really great option for me to put in a folio system with other A5 goodness. And then last but not least, as far as ideas, I could just repurpose any sort of notebook. So I've got various different dot grids or line grid notebooks that could totally be repurposed for this as well. And having like a smaller little one, like I even have A5 dot grid journals. I have a smaller little form-fitting one that would work great. And alternatively, I've got various other Erin Condren notebooks and things that have various different layouts I could make work potentially. So I've got lots of ideas to toy around with. I'm leaning more towards picking out a Tomoe River paper planner or repurposing what I already have that I could make work, like, you know, using one of the Makselife ones and just using it for the next year and then moving on the year after that. But I've got lots of ideas flowing in my head. I do have some Papertess ones I want to show you guys real quick. This is one that I thought, as soon as I saw this layout, I was like, ooh, that could be my thing, because this one does have 8 boxes. Where is a box? There it is. This one does have the 8 boxes because this one happens to be undated, so there's no little monthly calendar or anything, and it has 8 boxes, and it also has pages that could be for weekly actions and notes. It has room for a daily page, so that one would totally be a great option. They also have this in the A5 size, which again, if I'm using an A5 planner, it fits with my other A5 goodness and my A5 folio systems. So that one will be a great option there, which is Papertess Undated. These are called 2.0 planners because they're the undated horizontal ones. I did also make a page. This is my current A5 folio that I've got going on right now, but I've got plenty of folios from Makselife themselves that I could use if I have more notebooks going. But I had a page in here mocked up and it looks super cute. Like, look how cute that is. I could totally see using an A5. This happens to be a sterling ink. I could totally use one for this purpose as well. I just think that's so cute. Okay. Okay, it's been a little while since I filmed this video. I'm adding back in some more thoughts. I was going through the editing and I was like, oh, I have another idea, and then I popped in another idea, so I wanted to include them in this video because it's all just Makselife thoughts. So I also was thinking a couple of things. One, if I am franken-planning my Erin Condren hourly with whatever Makselife alternative Erin Condren that I'm using, I would totally franken-plan in extra note pages because I have plenty of notebook pages. I can have the monthly reflections and the weekly reflections built in with those extra notes pages. Of course, if I use the daily duo, those are already built in from week to week, but something like this, I could even use because it does have this 8th column here too, so it could be like 3 different Makselife goals. I would just ignore the days at the top and color code things, and then this would be my 8th category. So I think something like this could work as well, and I do love the special edition Hello Kitty colors, so that could totally be a viable option. But when I was thinking, you know, I can franken-plan in my own notebook pages and things. I also have the new Erin Condren teacher lesson planners. So I got this one specifically. It's very blank. Like, it has the days of the week, yes, but I could use these. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Also, these could be used as an 8th column, and I could totally color code this. And it could be a thing where each weekly action has its own box, and I could color code like in a gradient across the page. So let's say I have 2 personal goals, 4 of the orange category, which is like the fun and recreation, which I use as my like scrapbooking and photo a day type of thing. Then I could have like a next section, however many goals I have for the work and learning, which is my YouTube channel stuff. And then I could just have this rainbow color gradient across the page where each section is color coded based on what goal it is. I could totally ignore this column. I could totally ignore this column and just have a grid of everything, because this one is a blank slate. So that would be a totally neat option. Of course, this one does not have any notes pages, but if I'm doing that sort of thing, I could write across the lines as a weekly reflection with whatever section I don't use as actual weekly goals, because I don't anticipate having every single one of these boxes full each week. But that could totally be an option where I do my reflections over here. I could even just bullet point my reflections, because a lot of times I do just add bullet points. Cloudlet just came in, he heard me chatting, but I could make something like this work as well. So this would add it a little bit extra into the plan. As far as like other pages in this, it has the setup pages every month. So that would give me room to do some sort of reflecting as well if I needed it. But I feel like this could be a really good option. It's so clean and sleek. As far as spacing, it looks like it has plenty of space, and I do love these softbound books. The more I get into plannering and planners, the more I tend to go towards these softbound type of planners and the Tomoe River paper planners. So I just wanted to include a couple more thoughts as they came up. Come July, I'm gonna have some experimentation going on, and I want to have something completely planned out by January so that I have the full year in whatever method I use. Like, if I'm going to use a full year thing, I'll get a 2025 dated of whatever it is potentially, so I'll have the right week numbers and things. But for the next 6 months, once July kicks in, I won't have this Franken planner anymore, so I will have to experiment a little bit. I was putting all those planners away, and I had one more thought about having a folio thing. I had talked about in my Q1 update that I have just too many sizes of planners, and I want to more consolidate down to have like a whole stack of week size, or a whole stack of A5 size, or a whole stack of TN size, and not have like one of everything. Because right now I have got B6, A5, weeks, TN, the big 7x9s, A5 bound, lots of different things. I want to be more choosy moving forward, so I really am leaning towards A5 because I can stick as many A5 things as I want in some of these folio systems and make it work. So that's definitely on my mind. I really enjoyed having 2 sterling inks bunched up in this giant chunky Aura Estelle, but I could get a lot more notebooks actually in a Makselife folio. This one has the 4 bands, and I have a little hack video talking about how to use other elastics to make more fit in here, because 4 actually sometimes doesn't fill up this big giant chunky folio, but I could totally see that being where I move next, is just doing more A5 size things. And even if I have 2 different folios of A5 goodness, like that is a much more compact, easily transportable stack. Even though they're bricks, they are the same size, so they all fit together in the same folio. So that's definitely on my mind moving forward, is trying to get all of the same size accessory type notebooks and just having one big giant brick 7x9 planner moving forward. These are all the options I've brainstormed so far. I love the goal setting and I don't foresee getting rid of it, but I'm going to be changing the method of it. And that's what this crazy rambly video is all about. So I would love to hear from you guys. If you guys have been doing goal setting, are you in the Makselife system? Are you in a different goal setting system? The Makselife one just clicks with my brain so well and I love it so much, but I just want to change up how I'm doing it. So that's what this is all about. Hope you guys liked this video. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me along. Come July 1st, I will have new methods of all of my madness. So I will share those along the way in various videos, updates, and things. So be sure to follow along and watch out for that. Have a great day, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.